there is a breaking news, and that breaking news is was yesterday. The court in the United States, led by Judge Nancy uh, Maldonado, has ruled that the Chicago State University, that is the CSU, must release the document, the academic document of bulletin to Atiku Abubakar's legal team. In doing that, there is two things. I think, in local parlance, we could say that Atiku Abubakar has been, sorry, Bola Tinubu has been knocked out because the judge ruled or maintained that the document must be released tomorrow, Monday. So Monday is going to be very hot in Nigeria. And by the way, has any of you, I haven't though, I don't not say it hasn't, but has any of you seen Bola Tinubu's normal independent speech? I haven't, but I wanted to know what he was going to say, whether he was going to tell his people that this is end of the road for him, that he's throwing the towel. I do not know what is happening, but in this Twitter space by mindset that we are currently on, the Twitter space is where people are basically beginning to analyze this. I said before I move over to Twitter space, let me quickly do this. Let's quickly go through what it's in this, it's in this case, because that will help us understand that this is not Nigeria. This is a country, the United States of America is a country where evidence rules. All of us must understand that when Atiku Abubakar made this, you know, made the request, and they sought the approval of Bola Tinubu actually had to put a countermeasure saying, no, this should not be released to the public. And not only that, he's saying that this should not be released to the public, he said that if you release this to the public, it's going to cause undue harm, irreparable damages to him. Now, stop for a moment. I went to university at the what's it called, the University of Applied Sciences, Bremen, in Germany, and someone I said I graduated. I studied political science and economics, and someone says you won't go back to the university, confirm if I them release my academic record, and I say if they release my academic record, it's going to cause irreparable damages to me. That alone is a no-no. That alone, that if the university is not accomplice to this, must then begin to say, wow, why would that cause so much damage to me if a result that they have given to me, if the records that they have given to me is made public? Then the question is, what is the man hiding? And let me now bring the documents, because for many of you who say this is fake news, that this is an old one, I'm reading all the comments, but let's bring the document in. So this is the document in question here. Let's read it line by line. Just join me. We're going to read this together. Let's read it. Maybe we'll make it slightly bigger, or we'll choose a different. Okay, let's see if we can make it slightly bigger. Then we'll read it line by line. The moment we finish that, we'll go into the analysis, and I will allow the tweet. Oh, it's a little bit blurred, but let me. So you can see that now. This was done yesterday in the United States of America. It's been Saturday, the last day of September, 30 days. 30 days of September. You see? So yesterday, 30 days. And what you can see here is United States District Court for the Northern District Court of Illinois, blah, 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 blah. Plaintiff, Abubakar. Now, defendant, Chicago State University. You see? This thing go hard. So if it is, if we are this to be in Nigeria, to be honest with you, we will be talking about technicalities now, and they would have knocked everything out of technicalities. But let's go through these documents, okay? Now, this docket entry was made by the clerk on Saturday, that is yesterday, September. You can see that. Let me highlight that if in case it is too small for you to, you can see the highlighted area. Yesterday being the 30th of September 2023. Minutes entry before the Honorable Nancy Maldonado for the reasons stated in court, accompanying memorandum opinion and order, the court overruled here again The court overrules President Bola Tinubu's objection, 44, and adopts Judge Gilbert's recommended decision. Now, court overruled. This is not Nigeria, where they will use DSS and they will use army to stop the judges. But here, the court is overruling, and heaven hasn't fallen. And heaven will not fall if writing is done. Now, the court therefore grants Mr. Abubakar Atiku application under section 28 USC, blah, blah, blah. Now, in here, it starts getting interesting. In reaching this conclusion, the court emphasizes that this is expressing no view on the merits of Mr. Atiku's underlying claim regarding President Tinubu or his graduating from, whether he graduated from CSU or in the validity of the Nigerian election, nor in this court taking any position. The court is making it clear they're not taking any position. This is what court should be. In Nigeria, the courts were acting as if they were INEC or they were APC members. The way, honestly, they wasted 16 hours of my life standing in that federal court of appeal, listening to the nonsense that was read by the judges. Because they stood there, they made us stand, not showing their faces, and they were telling us that the so-called Amazon websites, how can judges be giving such opinion? It's none of your place to give such opinion. Your place is to look at the law. That's why the lady that is shown in the law, it's, the law symbol, is blind. In Nigeria, I said they just remove that thing small. But here, it gets interesting. That is point number one. They are not interested. Here, Nigerian judges, Nigerian lawyers, this is what you should be noting. Look, this is where the Akmako happened. The court simply finds on the narrow question before it that Mr. Abubakar is entitled to the production of documents and testimonies that he seeks from CSU. Corresponding CSU in this directed to produce all relevant and non-privileged documents in response to request production. So you must visit tomorrow. Join us tomorrow. We'll do a full analysis on this. There's going to be a Twitter space on this as well. You can see the judge is saying this. Now, here again, an interesting thing that has to do with those of you saying that what is the benefit of this? Is it going to be used in the courts in Nigeria? Well, it is left for them to decide. But there is an interesting thing here that you almost note. The courts also know that the last time for Atiku to file his objection or his defense in the Supreme Court is the 5th, and he puts it in here. That is, if you get the judgment, you want to just go there, go to line 15. And it says, now, you see here, privileged documents in response to requests for production. Then it goes further here to say that as narrowed by Judge Gilbert, that is the previous judgment that was given by Judge Gilbert, that this should be released. In Mr. Atiku's subpoena, that must be released tomorrow by 12 p.m., 12 noon, Central District Time, on Monday, tomorrow, Monday. That is Nigeria, you now have the Happy Independence Day ruling. The Rule 30B6, the position of CSU corporate design, designee must be completed by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. You know what I mean? The judge has knocked Bola Tinubu Akpako. There is no more hiding place. You know why I say this? This place explains it. He wants the judgment to fast. The documents to be provided to us tomorrow. Then on Tuesday, you can now come and take the position. Take under oath. Now go for cross-examination. Meaning nothing. It's not going to be, after cross-examination, we have decided that we're not going to give you. No. This one is Bring the document, give it to Atiku. If you want to use it to cook fraud on, let him use it. Now, on Tuesday, you must now come at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, October 3, given, and the reason why the judge made the decision is that he said that given on the 5th is the last day, see it here, October 3rd, that's when they must appear, given that October 5th, 2023, filing deadline before the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Now, wow, Americans are now mentioning our Supreme Court. So, if the younger ones, if the Gen Z begin to say all eyes on the judiciary, all eyes on the Supreme Court, the old men, they will begin to get angry. Now they won't get angry because the American eyes on the judiciary of Nigeria. You see how things work. Had Bola Tinubu not contested the election, had the APC failed in Professor Yemi Osibanjo, would they be in this mess? The question is no. Had INEC not rigged an election, had INEC allowed a process to start where Nigerians came out and voted, it doesn't matter who would have. But you rigged the election. You saw what happened in River State, you saw what happened in Benue State. So after rigging the election, now another country is beginning to wade in and say this document will be released. INEC had the opportunity to even investigate this document when they were submitted. They didn't do so. So finally, here, people, before we move to the Twitter street, he says, here, furthermore, there is further the court. Let me highlight that for us to see. Further, the court notes that the recent emergency hearing, the possibility of a stay pending an appeal to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeal was raised. The court cautioned that they cannot caution a Nigerian president. The court said, hold your ear, Tinubu, hold it wide and wide. The court then says, the court cautioned, caution. The court cautions President Tinubu that any request, no remote talk before DSS goes in and me talk, that any request for a stay before the court will be denied. Ha! At this point, Yoruba will say, Otilo, it is finished. This is not technicalities, because of technicalities, they can make someone who is a candidate of prison walk free in Nigeria. This is the same country that a thief that governed, where's the state again? Delta State, a thief that governed Delta State, raped the people of Delta State, raped Delta State Treasury without any form of protection. On technicalities, he was working big, driving convoys, living large, until another country intervened, and the individual was eventually sentenced in another country, went to jail in another country. In your own country, it will not happen. Isn't that a banana republic? Now the court places a caution on Tinubu that if he comes in with any further request, that request will be denied. I mean, this one self, get as it be. I read it for the first time and said, like, what? The court cautions president, and they even gave him the courtesy. The court cautions President Tinubu that any request for any stay, this stay means technicalities, apply for stay of execution, what they call judicial mago and judicial abracadabra, that it will be denied as the court now gives reason, as the court finds any stay impracticable in light of the fast approaching Supreme Court deadline in Nigeria. President Tinubu is, of course, free to request a stay directly from Seventh Circuit should he file any appeal. Judgment is entered in favor. So let's now look at where another Akbako happened. Okay. In conclusion, this, I think this is about 33 page document, but let's go to the conclusion so that we don't waste it. In conclusion, here, it's not me, DSS, if you're watching, sorry for you. We are doing our job. Our job is to explore the truth behind the headline. That's what we do here at Njenje Media. If you're joining me for the first time and you haven't subscribed to this platform, by all means, please click the like button, subscribe on this platform, and share with others, because there is one thing that can set all of us free. Nothing but truth. Now, this is what the conclusion said. For the foregoing reason, the court overrules again. See, for the foregoing reason, the court overrules President Tinubu's objection to Magistrate Judge Gilbert's recommended ruling, and therefore adopt the ruling in full without any exception. That is what the new judge now said. Before it was magistrate, now the judge now said, Mr. Atiku's application is therefore granted. In light of pending Supreme Court case of Nigerian deadline represented to the court as of, to the court as October 5th, 2023, and based on CSU representation that it is ready to comply with discovery requests and procedure. And produce a witness. The court sets an expedited schedule for completion of discovery. It is finished. Now it is finished. Look at the date, and the woman appended her signature, but the damage is about to start. Let me analyze to us what this could mean. The damage is about to start. CSU, that is Chicago State University, will be subpoenaed. That's why it's already subpoenaed. They will now answer questions under oath. In answering questions under oath, the following are likely to happen. Answering questions under oath, the following likely to happen. Imagine where these questions is answered under oath. They will be asked, were you aware these documents were illegal at the point of admission? Under oath. Or rather, these documents were forged. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of this? Nobody wants to go to jail, because many of them now that are involved are in their retirement age. Are you willing to go to jail when you're about to retire? Why would you lie for someone who is in Africa? It is time that you begin to say. And this truth, he go serve as in the court. Tomorrow, whether heaven fall, whether he stay where he did, these documents are coming out. There's no two ways about it. This is what I call end of the road. All the way up to the end of the road. The end of the road is here. We will know the person we have as a president. We will know all the hidden things. My happiness in all this, my happiness in all this is because finally, there's going to be truth. Finally, this is going to be, in fact, like some of you are saying, Nigeria is 63, and on the day of your 63th birthday, they gave you the best happy independent message you can ever think. Well, it is what it is. There is nothing you can do about it. It is about to go down, and going down, it will go. Because this time around, everybody would to see this topic, make your own judgment. Now, on this note, we will now go to the Twitter space and um, listen to what the guys on the on the Twitter end is saying. So let me quickly move to the Twitter street. Let me move to the Twitter street. While I'm moving to the Twitter street, I will get ready to go into church, because he be as the thing get to. He be as the thing get to. So now this is the Twitter space happening. So
the people. You look at economic growth. So you look at those positive things, and then you look at Nigeria and say these things are going to happen to Nigeria if justice can prevail. But for justice to prevail, you have to go through certain things. Obviously, you have to wipe away the whole systematic way of doing things, which is what we're trying to do. This is what guys like you, like Jackson, is a legend on his own. You know, Dodger, who comes and explains all these things, even Dr. Barrister David, yeah, I see you. People who have given their time, the UC Marxers of this world, give their time and effort to ensure that Nigerians understand that good judgment plays a critical role in nation building. You know, nation building is a collective thing. You know, we have to give our own every little helps, as they say, nation, either by talking, like you said, mindset, by constantly talking, doing, you know, like Latimer guys said, you know, some blessings have been ours in the past, and this can either be multiplied or, you know, shared and amplified. It's exactly what we're doing, amplifying those excitements of expectations that this country can get better if we get it right. We're getting it right is what we're doing. You wake up to great news like this on Independence Day. Personally, I think it's Liberation Day. It's liberation because, you know, we are empowered again to understand that we are free to think as Nigerians and to seek truth and justice. We're empowered because, you know, from a society point of view, we can now exercise our rights to start calling a spade a spade. You know, what's going to happen tomorrow when they release the documents? It will give us a whole new sense of liberation again. And then when it goes forward for this deposition on Tuesday, that will shed a new light into how justice is supposed to be. The fact of the matter is, from a mindset point of view, Nigerians are taking this information in and wishing we can be like this. But that wishing is not far-fetched because as a collective, we are already talking about it. We're already doing it. We're already seeing things happen in progress. So that is the excitement I'm feeling. That is the joy that I'm feeling that is happening to Nigeria. Nigeria is a case study. We all know this. And we cannot be frivolous about the fact that we as individuals have to be have to participate in the nation building process, as small as it takes. Every incremental result that we get from either from Chicago or tomorrow from David releasing something or from anybody, as long as it's aligned towards a specific kind of progress, we now have to look at it from an exciting point of view and say, oh yeah, this is really possible. But guess what? Some of us have been locked into this mindset for a very long time. It's like watching a movie when you already know the end. You already know the end game that criminality cannot. There's no way criminality can go over good governance. So it's just a matter of time. So time has been taken and time has been spent. We're beginning to see the outcome of all these things happening now. So we can only applaud ourselves. I think it was Maureen who said it before. We can only applaud ourselves for all the good works that we've been doing. But today is one of those great days. You know, it's the 1st of October. It's supposed to be our Independence Day. When we sought for independence, it was the same kind of collective mindset we wanted. But we come together and talk and talk and talk. So we want freedom from this nonsense, from these oppressors, from these colonial masters. We wanted that freedom and we got it. But today now we're saying we want liberation from injustice so that we can move on and seek equality and non-discrimination. We can move on to seek economic freedom. We can move on to seek social and cultural rights. We can move on for political participation without prejudice. You know, somebody said it's fantastic that you're hosting this kind of stuff, and I'm glad you allowed it to be streamed because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to come in here today, speak power to their submissions, and obviously more Nigerians we get to understand that we as a people we've come to a point in time where we've actually said enough is freaking enough. You know, so it's that I really wanted to say because, you know, I started my day, I woke up to the fantastic news, you know, from Chicago. I listened to the court case personally. I know there's no grounds for appeal per se. I know they might, I don't think they'll bother to try. You know, I listened to it categorically. I listened to Judge Nancy give her ruling on the thing, and then put in all the processes due for what we're going to expect tomorrow. Mine is thank you. You know, thank you to us, to well-meaning Nigerians out there, especially for guys who put in so much time and effort in not giving up. The key word in not giving up. Like I said, I end mine by saying a new Nigeria as possible. I hope you guys align with that as well. So thank you, my step, for your time, for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saul, for coming on the platform and sharing this brilliant submission with us. We really appreciate it. You see, Jim Morrison said, whoever controls the mind, whoever controls the media controls the mind. Information is powerful. You know, you cannot do anything without information, right? And these people understand how powerful the information is, right? Hence, they would go as far as, you know, lying and doing everything, and they will come back and tell you, you know, you guys should not talk about it. And now I have a question, right? If what you're saying on this platform, not only on this platform, other platforms, it's not making any difference, or your tweets or your, you know, the post you put out there, it's not. Why would Justice Balaji talk about the internet? Why would he talk about the social media that they have been talked about? Because they know how powerful your voices are, right? That's one point. Why would Samani talk about it and said, okay, please, we do not want people to misinterpret what we are saying. You know, very soon these things will go out there on this, because they know how powerful your voices are. All right, this is what it is. If you don't have this, you know, forums, not only my forum, but every other forums, you will not be able to speak. You will not be able to pass that information. Yesterday, I did say to Umar Sani, hosted one of the interesting spaces, Pidgin English spaces. You know, we were not space yesterday, on the spaces yesterday, and I did say, personally, for me, there is something to celebrate, but there's nothing to show for the celebration, right? In what I meant by that is, yes, we are live. We have seen Nigeria turn 63, but at 63, Nigeria have somebody who we cannot say for certainty that this person is who he claims to be. You know, we talked about it yesterday, and here we are. I'm very happy, and I encourage everybody to continue to, you know, use your voices. They are not going to suppress your voices. That's the only thing you have. On that note, I'll quickly, Mr. Dodger, you're raising your hand, and I wanted to pass the mic to Mr. Best. What is it regarding Mr. Dodger? Quickly, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to quickly clarify something. You know, we talked about the fact that our judiciary, this is a very short submission. We talked about the fact that our judiciary does not have the courage or the confidence. But I would say something in clarification. What I would say in clarification is that you see, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. The Nigerian Judicial Council, in other climes, the powers that it currently exercises are divided into about 3 or 4. And those 3 or 4 organs checkmate each other. In this Nigeria, they put everything in one organ. Those people who were of integrity that could have manned the NJC without compromising, they are no more. The people you have there right now have little or no integrity. So when you say the justice should be courageous, they eventually take their matters to the people without integrity. Obviously, we know that it's almost like the evil men are having a field day today in the country. So it's a very sticky situation. Essentially, if we want to come out of it, like Kenya, after they had one particular election and their judiciary gave one kind of judgment, they reformed the entire judiciary. It was based on the reforms of the judiciary that the Kenyan Supreme Court was courageous enough to annul a presidential election. It was judicial reforms that ensured that after they finished their presidential election, before they even swear in the next president, they would dispense of the case and it will start at the Supreme Court and end at the Supreme Court. Nigeria, we still have a long way to go, but you see, Maxwell was right when he says that unlike all other political office holders that are tenured, these justices are literally there for life. We must reform the judiciary first as a matter of urgent national importance. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodger, for that submission as always. Now, I'm coming up with something. I'm in touch with the NBA Treasury. As you guys are aware, there's a problem with the NBA. The NBA president has been accused of, you know, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully, getting involved in corruption, right? And has to do with hard currency. So I'm in touch with the NBA Treasury, Mrs. Bishops, right? Hopefully, I would communicate with the House when we'll bring her on the space, because I love the way you put it. There's so much corruption in the judiciary. So not only the judges, the NBA, Mr. Yakubu Makai, he's been indicted, not been indicted, he's been accused by the NBA Treasury, which some of you saw the video. So I'm in touch with her, and I'm putting something together. She's gonna come on the platform, you know, and she's gonna, you know, we'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So, you know, just hold me on that. I would make that possible for the House to know exactly what's going on in the NBA.
A fair judgment, and that's why they were doing, and they were preaching God. And that's why most times when I speak on spaces, I talk about religion. These justices, they were preaching religion, they were praying, they were quoting Bible, you know, to cajole people in that court to believe that they were going to do the right thing. At the end of the day, the right thing was not done. What I want to say this morning is that, the institutions in this country has failed. The judicial system is corrupt, like you actually noted, even more than the Nigerian police. It's rotten to the core, and they are afraid of the powers that be. I think the only thing that is left, as much as we are going to be here and talk about how excited we are about the news that is coming out from United States, I want us to know that the best the United States can do is to give us this information, or is to allow this information to come. What we do with this information that they are going to release by the grace of God, it's just up to us. It's up to us. They're not going to do more than just sending us, and it's the highest they can do. And right now, knowing fully well that the judicial system has failed, they are not going to give favorable judgment. Knowing fully well that our institutions has failed, knowing fully well that our politicians have failed, what manner of citizens ought we to be? What manner of citizens ought we to be? I think the best that we can hope for is to say that right now we have to begin to be active citizens. To say that when that Supreme Court finally give that judgment that they want to give, for Nigerian people to reject it, because I think the court, the INEC has done their own, the court has done their own. The only people that is left now are Nigerian people to give their own judgment, and the Nigerian people should be the way INEC was bold enough to give that judgment that they gave. Just the way the judicial system is going to be bold enough to give the kind of judgment they want to give, the Nigerian people should also come together and be bold to give judgment. And that judgment should be that no, we cannot allow this thing to happen. We cannot allow a criminal to rule us. We cannot allow somebody who is forging certificates. If I cannot forge certificate to work in an NPC, if I cannot forge certificate to be admitted in school, if I cannot forge a certificate to work even in ministries or in banks, then our president should not forge a certificate to be our president. This is what Nigerian people should be preparing our mind, and this judgment that is going to give us is to give us local standards, something to stand on. It's not when people are being emotional, like the Nigerian people will say, you people are being emotional. So it's not going to be emotional. It's going to be something we are standing on truth. And when you are standing on truth, you should be ready to, because I kept saying this thing. If you're not willing to die for what you believe, then that thing that you're believing in is not worth believing. I want to repeat that again. If you cannot die for what you believe, that thing that you're believing is not worth believing. Believe conviction that this thing is what is what, even if I die believing it, so be it. The Nigerian people, God, is PDP, actually in this case, and I wish that when the time comes, that the PDP, the supporters of PDP, those people who actually fired this case, they will have to come out from across the net, because when people talk about Labour Party, they try to say, oh, Labour Party is an ethnic. Okay, now PDP, people voted for them across, Muslims voted, Christians voted, Northerners voted, Westerners voted, and not just of them. Can we do that? Because for me, this judgment is it's an impetus, it's an embodiment for Nigerian people. Because for me, that is the only hope. If we are in that court, as you see, Maxwell, if you're and people who went to that, if you're in that court, my brother and my sisters, you see these justices, they are bought even from before the case started, and those people, they are as corrupt, like you've noted, more than the Nigerian police. They are filthy, and they cannot give you anything good. Let us just perhaps hope, and let us hope that will be done, and also be prepared when that right thing is not done. The best we can do as and this gives us an opportunity. I think brother, like somebody have noted, men that have no conscience and they have integrity. So this is what the Tinubu president has done. He has given us a gift for us to stand on. It's not like a mixed bag, something, oh, we don't even know, is it true or this. This one now is that everything is on our table. What manner of citizen ought we to be? Seen if it was what manner of citizen, ought we to be? I think I will just end, quote that, one of our favorite Professor Chidimuko, when he constantly quotes, Walter Scott, when he said, oh, what a tangle web, when first we practice it. Everything that the Nigerian system has done, judicial has done, is to practice to deceit. Everything that you're seeing, they will just find a way to say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. And again, like you noted, the journalists today, the people who are speaking up are you and me. The Nigerian journalists are the people on Spaces speaking truth to power. Those are the Nigerian journalists. Because if you watch those who you believe, or some of you who watch Arise, if you have been following Ruben about it, to mention his name on this page, but if you have been following, you will see that that man has constantly made it look as though asking for somebody's certificate is not important. It's always the word is of no that somebody a certificate. We are not talking about whether he should have a certificate before he becomes. Then why should you forge? And even journalists in our claim will be making light of it. Thank God for you and people like you on this space. Thank God that Nigerians are coming and having this thing. But I'm saying when all these things, Nigerians have the boldness to give their own judgment, and it is that judgment that is the judgment that all of us should be craving for. That is the judgment for us should actually be ready to give. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. For so you've said quite a number of things, but I want to take one step. You talked about the justices. I mean, you yourself and Mr. Maxwell were in court. I was not in court. We were just, following what the information, not only yourself, but other people were giving. But one of the things that really did not sit well with me was when I think it was the LP, it was Dr. SN question. Please correct me if I'm wrong, sir, in regards to the document they are requesting from INEC. And Wale Olanifekun SN, said something, and it appeared there was a bit of argument in the court. But here we are. Bolaji not said that was when he, I know about Samani. I talked about Samani, that he's corrupt. But when Bolaji not said that Olanipekun has the interest of Nigeria at heart, that was it. There's nothing else you need. This is a judge telling you that this person has been here. Whatever he's going to do here is for the interest of Nigeria. What else do you need? And then again, I know that's when I tweeted about Bobby and Ugo. And Ugo, for me, was just looking at the whole thing as a joke. He doesn't, he make it look like a child's play, right? If you look at his judgment when he was talking about the way he was speaking about the PDP, you can see that he wasn't looking at the constitution. He was just trying to make the PDP look like, why are you guys here? You don't have been here. This is where we are. And the second thing was the issue of what would Nigerians do. And you talk about what would the PDP do, because it's good that they're the one in front of this. Believe you me, as it stands right now, this is about Nigeria. This is not about PDP. These are my own views, right? And you have every right to disagree with me, and I will respect that. Whether there are some individuals who might be in PDP, in APC, that will look at this thing and say, guys, even if I supported this guy, but this thing is not looking good on us, there might be one or two. I'm not saying it, but I want us to look at it from that, because if Nigerians decide to do what they want to do, it's not going to, I wouldn't want us to look at it that it's all about the PDP fronting this thing. And others have argued that Nigerians only talk and do nothing. And I want to remind you guys that after the judgments, after the INEC did what they did, Atiku Abubakar, not only himself, but his families as well. I saw his kids following him, and not PDP members. They went to the INEC office and they protested, right? Now, somebody would argue and say, if Nigerians were to come together and followed him, maybe something else might have happened. But here we are. Quite a number of people laughed at him. This is the truth. I don't like all this. A number of individuals laughed at him and his family and said, PDP, you understand what I'm trying to say? So this is where we are. So I wouldn't want it to look at that, whatever Nigerians would decide to do after the judgment has been given by the Supreme Court, it will be all about the PDP. If Nigerians want the right thing to be done, everyone will look at it from the angle that this country belongs to each and every one of us. Now, that's being said. Secondly, after the day the Court of Appeal gave his judgment, I will say it here, at least the person is here, Mr. Maxwell, printed a lot of shirts, and that shirt was, it was boldly written, "All eyes on the judiciary." I saw him. He was standing outside, telling people, "You guys need to come out. You guys need to come out." There were 4 or 5 individuals that came out and joined him. Right? 1 or 2 of them were arrested. Now you ask yourself a question. He done it. He's on space. He spoke about it on spaces. But he proved that it can be done. Whatever he did on that day was not, illegal. It's legal because you have a right. So what I'm trying to say is this. So whenever the judges in Nigeria will look at these cases and decide they will not accept it, I do not know. But if there's any reason Atiku Abubakar or a PDP want to protest or want to do a rally, it would be, let's Nigerians say, oh, it's all about PDP. No, that would be the wrong thing to do. That would be the wrong thing to do, because we have a family member as part of these justices. Believe me, they are not comfortable. They felt that they can bully people reading the judgment. They felt that they can use words to make you, subdue you. Hence, Bolaji was saying, you think we are scared of social media. You think, listen, you're not scared of the social media, but believe you me, history will always remember Bolaji, a woman that is very corrupt. That's how life is. You made a quote, you spoke about a quote, I can't remember who you referenced that quote to. That's how life is. We'll be on here, we talk about Justice Nikki Toby, we talk about Justice Chukwudife Oputa, because these are justices that do what is right. So as it stands right now, Bolaji, Samani, and the other two that didn't, do enough, and Ugo. These are the three I would want to mention, but I'm not trying to excuse the other two. They will always, as long as there is a country called Nigeria, what happened on the 6th of September is not something people think, okay, you move on from it. If anyone decides to move on from it, that's fine. But what they did not understand is we are not living in 1990, in 1990. We are living in the internet age where the way Elon Musk is with this thing is not going to be, the internet, the X, the spaces, the Twitter is the new DSTV, if you use that word. So Bolaji and the rest of them that did that judgment, it's not going to be a walk in the park. History will always remember. Somebody will write a book. And let me tell you this. I saw Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She was in court that day. I mean, she's a writer. After the judgment, she went on CNN to talk about what felt that these guys could have done, but they didn't do it, right? Somebody that is on that level right now. When she writes a book, it's not only Nigerians will not only read it, right? It will go, let me use the word viral. A lot of people will read it. So we don't know what she's going to write about. Here we are, a young man, David, who have risked his life, right? And he spoke to the United Nations, I think about a few days ago. And he talked about this whole thing. These judges, if they decide to do whatever they want to do, history will remember them for being corrupt. History will always remember them. So thank you very much, Mr. Best. But I believe if the Nigerians take action or want to do whatever they want to do, anybody that wants to be part of it legally, must look at it from a different angle. It's not about PDP. It's not because Atiku Abubakar was the one that took this to court. This is why I find it distasteful when I see a lot of people who should know better, especially those who believe that are influencers making fun of this whole thing in regards to saying, okay, I'm only doing this because I don't like Atiku Abubakar. If you don't like him, go to America and fight for the case. America is over here. You don't have to like, you have to believe in what is right, and this has to stop. It's either we find a country where we support what is right, or we do not, we just forget about it. So I just want to leave it there quickly. So, and thank you very much once again, Mr. Best. Mr. Maswell, you raise your hand. What is it regarding, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to say something in relation to all these justices and what they do. It struck me, if you remember when you were speaking earlier, you said something like where the justices tell the lawyer of argument he should argue. You said something in relation to that. So what we see here, that is why many of these law firms, they have retired judges that they put on contract basis, who they go to meet to give them some kind of analysis of probably angles they feel they should, litigate or argue in court in order to sway the mind of the judges or, to get judgment. when I went to Asaba, I was in court at the Federal High Court when I listened to that judgment. From the documents, I read the documents, I read the petitions, I read basically everything, not all, but a good percentage of it. On the basis of forgery, which was an argument that was advanced by the petitioner, the Labour Party, they made arguments. They also relied on the case of Sally. It is a very poor case, and people love it because that judgment is thorough. What I realized is that the respondents had a targeted approach of relying on criminal cases, like relying on criminal cases to show that there is some kind of weight of evidence, or there is some kind of proof that is required when litigating forgery. And it was actually unfortunate to hear the justices say that or agree with those arguments, because we have said this in time and time again that forgery for election is different from the regular criminal forgery. So when the court allowed it is to continue to be swayed on arguments that I feel are not even weighty, are not founded on the provisions of the law or even on case law. These are the things we see in the judiciary. A lot of these things I've come to realize that they are calculated. They sit down, forge their blades on actually how to dissect these things in a way that will pervert justice. It is just what I see from the system. I've not been so long in the court system. I can say for a lot of people are lawyers here, and I've received judgment several times. But the few times I have been, I've always been there for election petition matters. And I've read election petition laws, everything. I've read books on it. And one thing I realized that before going into election, all the lawyers are aware that the judge would most times favor technicality rather than justice. Don't take my word for it. If you know any lawyer, call him on phone and ask him before they go on to litigate petition. They know the language of our courts in Nigeria because they don't uphold the principles of the electoral law. No, that is not what they do. They go into looking at the at what time did you file the process, did you file it with the accompanying documents, and these things are technicalities, especially when it relates to important elections. If you are actually doing this on the basis of looking at procedures that INEC used in conducting the elections, is a different thing. But when you begin to look at it on the basis of the criminality of a person, we should frown at it. It's very important for us to frown at anybody who is a criminal and wants to hold political positions. That is not the dictate of our laws. I just wanted to add that, immediately you said that in mindset about how probably justices just tell lawyers on how the argument will go so that they can get the judgment out. I just reflected upon it and I just decided to add it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We don't know what somebody's saying there's a possibility that the Supreme Court will rule. I don't know. Do I have faith in them? I don't know what they will rule. I have no idea what they will rule. But the only thing is, Atiku Abubakar have done, like Mr. Beth said, what Atiku Abubakar needed to do is left for the Nigerian judiciary to do what is right. If they choose to, if they decide not to. Mr. Dodger, you're still raising your hand, and Mr. Jordan is raising your hand. Hopefully, we should be rounding up in the next 30 minutes. Mr. Dodger, please, what is it regarding?
I just wanted to add to what UC Maxwell said. It's a very short statement, actually. It's very saddening that in an election that is based on substantial compliance, which means that you tell that your election will be given a pass if you substantially comply. And that substantial compliance is not even described. What's the bar is not put there, which means the bar is literally on the floor. When it now comes to election petition, you then make it strict compliance. That is, if you make the smallest error, it can be fatal to your petition. Very mad. You see them using application for pre-hearing notice to dismiss petitions. They will now be using it, playing it like technicalities. You would apply. It gives 2 instances in which you can apply 7 days after you filed the last respondent has filed his reply, or 7 days after you have filed, you have finished your own filings. And then you will see them after you've now filed the pre-hearing notice. Somebody that did not reply before will now reply. It's crazy. For an election that is substantial compliance with respect to what law says, the litigation should not be compliance. It should also be substantial compliance if we want to go that route. But the Nigerian system is upside down, and the jury itself is in trouble. I think these are some of the things we actually need to look at holistically if we want to continue to have a country we can call our own. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Quickly, let me pass the mic to Mr. Sani. Umar, you have the mic. Umar is not.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. You have the mic.
Okay. So, all well and good. What has been said, and what is now before us is a matter that will be looked at from different perspectives by the citizens, different perspective by the courts. What is even more interesting is one aspect of the judgment where the Atiku, the Tinubu lawyer said that even if the Supreme Court will not consider it, and even if it is entered, the Supreme Court will dismiss it. And the court went to say that those ones are just rhetoric and they are mere speculation. That those are not, even if the Supreme Court will not consider it, the fact that the matter can be brought before them is sufficient for her to grant the document. And that even if it is brought before them, for anybody to say that the Supreme Court in the same way as the Court of Appeal will rule, that itself is mere speculation, because nobody knows what the Supreme Court will do. So they have brought in, that is to tell you the extent of what they have brought in to destabilize the judgment. They have even concluded that this is what the Supreme Court will judge, that it will not be substantially different from what the Appeal Court has done. So on this day and at this time, I think what we are celebrating is we are celebrating a birth of new Nigeria, because when this judgment comes, it will come with a bullet. And I'm also very happy with what Barrister Dodger said, that the idea is not for anybody to say, okay, I will appeal, and then using Nigerian tactics. After the appeal, it will now be delayed again. You go and hear the appeal before. No, this one is without prejudice. The thing must be, everything must be done. Then you can appeal. If they may not release it, but everything will be done. And once you appeal, and the appeal says no, but the lady went further to say, even if you appeal, your appeal will be denied. She had already seen the future, that there is nothing to appeal here. Even if you appeal, to be denied. So I think listening to various, aspects of this matter also gladdens my heart. It apart from the fact that it will deepen our jurisprudence, it also has the capacity to enlighten the citizens on why we must always continue to, to discuss, to engage in knowledge seeking, because every day we are gaining more knowledge. Now we have seen an American judgment, that just came, which did not last as long as the judgment of the Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal was wasting time. We didn't even know when the judgment was going to be. When they were ready, they decided to they want to speak to the country, because They know that it is just like when you say, okay, when the president says, I want to give you an independence speech, 1st October speech. For anybody who is outside the country, who is not within the country, and he listens to the speech, he will applaud it and say, wow, so this president has done, is doing this, is doing that, is doing that. But when you are within the country and you are experiencing what is happening, you will, you will be the number one to say, I don't want to listen to that rubbish, you know, because you know that what he's saying is entirely different from what is happening in the country. So that is exactly what had happened at the Court of Appeal. They wanted to bomb. For those of us who have not been in the court to follow the proceedings, like UC Maxwell had eloquently captured it, they want to give us a different perspective and the world to appreciate their judgment. Now, I think Judge Nancy is very, very, meticulous. She has done everything, all the due diligence, satisfied that the whole aim is to delay the outcome of the judgment. And so she decided that this thing has to be given the way it has been asked. And I think in that context, I applaud her, I celebrate her, I celebrate Nigerians, and I celebrate everybody on the platform. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Umar Sani, for your submission. Now, you see, this is getting interesting because from what you said on this platform, which I believe is part of the judgment that the Justice Nasi put out there. Now, somebody's mic is on. Dodger, thank you. Now, it's very clear that whatever the Supreme Court's rules, not only, it's not all about Nigeria now. Sometime, someday, maybe in the years to come, somebody will make reference that even though that the U.S. court brought out the document, and the document shows that this person is not who he claims to be, there's problem. But the Nigerian Supreme Court still decided to do what they want to do. This is the danger here. And as I said earlier on, my thing is all about Atiku Abubakar wanted to be the president, Peter Obi wanted to be the president. No, that's not what it is. It's not only that. It will affect each and every one of us one way or the other, because nobody wants to, bring, their investment to a country where the rule of law can be bought. Do you understand what it means, right? And I gave examples. If you have a problem with somebody and the person knows that the judge will rule in favor of them, they wouldn't want to bring their business to that country. They would think, okay, what's the point? And some people will say, oh, okay, but people have been bringing their businesses to the country. The problem here is this. You have a man whose identity cannot knows who he is. Some people have argued that he's from Osun State. Some people say, well, how sure are we that he's actually from Osun State? And for everything about him, the judges in Nigeria always find a way to defend him. Now, Atiku has gone one step ahead and said, okay, if you guys do not want this to be this way, the world will hear about it. The judge in America have explained that this has to be released. Even if they decide to appeal against it, that will not stop, the document being released based on what Barrister Mr. Dodger said. So we'll have to wait and see what happened between now and Tuesday. And as I said before, this whole conversation is being streamed by two individuals, and I did ask the House if they were comfortable about it, and I gave permission for this to be streamed. So we must continue to talk about it. Somebody, okay, let me quickly take some questions, and maybe people, the lawyers would respond to that question. So somebody asked a question this on the DM. Now, good morning, Mindset. What if the justices decide not to give Atiku the judgment? Can then Nigerians sue the justices? This is a very interesting question. I don't know, but let me quickly allow Dodger to respond to that. Dodger, what do you have to make of that question? All right, so Georgia is not here. Mr. Diodon, are you able to respond to that question?
Yeah, Nigerians cannot sue the justices, unfortunately. So yeah, if they refuse to, and I doubt that they will. I've said this again on a few other spaces that the question about whether Atiku Abubakar is trying to get from America, whether it is admissible, even at the Supreme again, although in rare cases they take evidences at that stage, but they still do. And there is no doubt that that evidence is integral, to the determination of the case at the Supreme Court. So I doubt that the Supreme Court will not accept it. They will. But yeah, you can't sue the justices, for this. Also, let me just also quickly say this mindset. Why I raised my hand up. I've said again and again that I am carrying my own personal battle against this things unfolding, and I'm preparing some projects. I actually wanted to launch this project on the 8th of September, but this article's case, I wanted to see it to logical conclusion, and that's why I held back. And this project also is something that I think in my own little way, try to sensitize the public, because I believe what we need is an organic protest, an organic protest that would drive millions of Nigeria out. And I'm trying to do it in my own little way, with some little thing that I'm doing. So I wanted to ask you, Mindset, that if it's okay for me to take a copy of this space you're doing out, so I could, yeah. Yeah, I saw that Mindset. Yeah, I'm at home. My family, we're just having a bro. Yeah, I just want to ask you if I could use your space, because like I said, there's a project I'm trying to launch and publish the Nigerian community, to help spread it around, to help sensitize common Nigerians that don't have the money or any capacity to be on spaces like this, so we can sensitize the public to what's really going on in the policy arena and in the courts. Like I said, I wanted to launch this on the 8th of September, but I wanted to wait for Atiku's matter to. So now it's coming to an end. Will you allow me to use your space? And I'll also be asking my friends at the Violence Space and many others to incorporate their space into this project that we'll be launching. So that because believe you me, there are a lot of Nigerians in especially in Nigeria, that don't have the resources to come on spaces to listen to what we are saying. So they don't know. They don't even know what's going on. And I can tell you the majority of us here are either abroad, or we have the resources to come on Twitter and make comments and join spaces. Like, there are millions of Nigerians that cannot do that. And they are the ones that really need this kind of information that we are dealing out here. So I want to, send this in my own little way to them. So I also wanted to bring in the spaces that we're launching up here. I want to incorporate it into the project that I'm going to be launching now. Is it okay for me to do that, Mindset? I don't want you to be shocked that your space is on this stuff, and I did not ask you, before I do that. So if you can let me know, please. Thank you. That's why I even raised up my hand. There was nothing else.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Jordan. I'm trying to understand what is it that you're asking for, because you say you borrow the space. I don't know what is it that you want to borrow. Is it the conversation that we have had on the platforms, or you want to come to the platform to speak? I need to understand exactly what you're asking for.
Okay, Mindset. I'm basically asking, because so like this space you're running now, I will take a picture of it. There is a video that we'll be publishing, shortly. Like I said, we wanted to publish this on the 8th of September, but we held back because of Atiku Abubakar's case in the United States.
Sorry, I've had that. Because of time, because we are digressing from what we are here for, and I do understand how I run spaces. I don't want something else to dominate the reason I opened this space this morning. So simple. Yeah. What is it that you're asking for? Are you asking to take a picture of the conversation or the conversation itself? Just I want to know. Or you can come to my DM and we discuss that.
DM, I think, yeah.
Thank you. Because one of the things is, this space now is being streamed, and I've always said it. When we're having conversation, I do not want to digress from what it is and miss the most important thing. right? If there is important things that you want us to discuss or that has nothing to do with the conversation, send me a message. That will help. You know, taking a picture of the listing is not what we're here for. You know, you have access to my DM. I don't take that kindly, honestly. But on that note, I want to thank every other person that has been on this platform this morning, and we'll continue to talk, or we'll continue to use our voices and continue to see how we can make Nigeria a better place. Or I mean, I don't even know if I want to say happy Independence Day to Nigeria, but I think there's something to celebrate, like Mr. Omar Sani have said, and every other speakers on this platform have said this morning. If there's something to celebrate, at least we're going to celebrate that Atiku Abubakar has done Nigerian enough, you know, have done Nigerian, you know, I've given Nigerians something to celebrate. So on that note, I wish everyone well. I believe there are other spaces coming up later this morning, later in the evening and in the afternoon. Please do join those spaces and continue to speak, and we'll find a way to make Nigeria better. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you.